Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome back to Muse and Measure. If you haven't done so yet, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button down below there. Today I want to take a break from songwriting as a focused practice and talk about this really cool app that I downloaded, and I even donated to the Kickstarter of it, that I found is really great for breaking through and kind of having a transcendent experience. Now, you can do this with psychedelic drugs if you take magic mushrooms, or I've never done ketamine, but maybe that, or acid. You're kind of guaranteed to have this kind of transformative experience where you get kind of outside your normal default mode network. And that's really pretty hard to do the rest of the time because our brains are so focused through evolution to kind of codify the world and turn it into concepts, mainly so that we can survive and thrive in our environment. If we spent, all of our lives like people who were on magic mushrooms, just being in awe, like, oh, look at this, that's so beautiful. If you're all constantly in that state, it's pretty hard to survive. There's predators around. You're also going to not find the food that you need. So our brains are really attuned towards thinking about our safety, imagining risks and versus rewards, basically codifying the world just so that we can understand the world just by looking at it. Tree, cat, grass, street, all these things. You don't have to think and spend time absorbed in looking at an object to figure out what it is. You know instantly. And we develop this throughout our babyhood, early childhood, as we develop our sense of the world and we gain these concepts. I've written a lot about this. I'm doing a dissertation on this very subject, and how this really, even though it's necessary, you could call this the fall, when Eve ate the apple in the garden, knowing these concepts and knowing the separativeness, and also becoming self-conscious of ourselves. They become ashamed of their nudity, and then they feel separate from God, and then separate from one another also, and separate from the animals. This fallen state, which is necessary to survive in the natural world, which is full of all these dangers, it's really hard to break through that. And it kind of takes special practices or hallucinogenic drugs to be able to get to that state. Now, of course, meditation is a wonderful way to do that, but, meditation also, there's no guarantee you're going to have that experience. A lot of times you might be sitting, for an hour, however long your meditation session is, and your mind is just wandering the whole time, and you don't get any sense of that underlying ground of being, that awareness, where you have this kind of transcendence. And what I mean by transcendence is you're getting outside of your ego. You're getting outside of that default mode network, which is constantly running this autobiographical soliloquy in your head at all times, thinking about how everything affects you and thinking about yourself constantly. And we really long for these transcendent moments because it really imbues life with so much meaning and joy. And they're harder and harder to come by as you get older. So I'm rambling on, but that's okay. That's what I do here. That's what this YouTube channel is about, is me rambling on. But what I want to tell you about is this really cool app that I discovered where you can have these type of experiences. Maybe there's a diminishing return on them, but I pretty much every time I've done this app, I've had some moments of just awe and wonder. And it's using very, very simple technology. It basically uses the flashlight light on your smartphone to do the strobe effect on your lights. And all it's doing is sending out white light at these different rates. And the developers figured out which rates stimulates the most response. But what you experience in your hypnagogic state, with your eyes closed, is you see all these incredible colors wafting by and these incredible patterns. And it's really much easier than to get immersed and absorbed in that. And that's, the ecstasy when you're outside of yourself. That's where the word ecstasy, ecstasis, outside of oneself. You get pulled out of yourself, out of that inner dialogue of ego, and you get pulled into out into the outside world, into other experiences. That's pretty hard to do. So what this visual experience does is it really, because of its intensity, it really absorbs you in. There's also an audio component too. You use headphones. Let me just demonstrate. Of course, there's a free trial, and then you have to pay for the subscription. But I think it's worth checking out and seeing what kind of experiences you have, if you have a smartphone, that is. So it starts, it does a bunch of safety questions to make sure that you don't have epilepsy or some other brain condition that would cause you harm by having flashing strobing lights. And then it starts by having you take some deep breaths and get into a relaxed state. And then you take the phone and you hold it in front of your closed eyes with the flashlight facing you. So I'm going to go ahead and see if this will work on this other phone.
So the flashlight is facing you.
Of course, it's not going to work very well because I have these other lights on.
The most intense experience is found around 5 to 10 centimeters in front of your eyes.
So you hold it, it says between 5 and 10 centimeters. Me being an American, I have to struggle with trying to figure out what that is.
But before we begin, take a moment to relax into this position.
So normally I would do this lying down.
And take a couple of deep breaths.
And I hold it in, and you can hear this the nice ambient music, and it tells you to take deep breaths. And you see now it's strobing on my face. Hopefully you can see that with all those lights happening. Of course, I'm not having any kind of visual experience right now because I have these lights for filming on, but you can see what it's doing.
You may start to feel a slight flickering in your eyelids.
And the sessions are anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes or up to 15 minutes. You can even go up to a half an hour. I've only done up to 15 minutes. There's this really cool set of ones that Sean Ono made based on his dad's song Mind Games, which is really fun because he kind of deconstructs them and elongates the notes that John sings on that, and it has a really cool light component. So anyways, I thought I'd share this with you because this is a really cool kind of cheat code to get into this transcendent state. And this would be great to do before a songwriting session. Go into a dark room, set this up so you can kind of clear your head and get all the garbage out from the day. Now, if you have garbage that you need to process and you want to do it through your songs, you may not want to do that. But it's always nice to just have this open state of mind just to see what's going to come up and what your subconscious is going to bring up for you, which is often incredible in your songwriting process. So this would also be great as a songwriting aid, as a kind of a pre-game or preparation before songwriting or any creative endeavor. I also use it just before going to sleep because it's really nice to have this expansive awareness moment before I pass into the other state. And I found it really relaxing, and it also helps my sleep. So who knows if that's placebo. Anyways, I'm not making any money by doing this video. They don't have any kind of affiliate program, but I thought I would share this with you. And let me know what your experience is. If you got something out of this that was really cool, or you found it to be completely lame and useless. Because I'm curious if what I'm experiencing is just me, or if other people are experiencing it too. All right, well, if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below in the comment section, or if you want to message me privately, it's tyler@musemeasure.com. And best of luck with your transcending the ego through your songwriting and your spiritual practice, and hopefully through this new app called Luminate.